What's going on, folks? My name is Josh and I am the Outdoor Dude. Welcome back. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about braid, when to use it and why to use it, so stick around.
Look at that big mamma jamma, folks.
Alright, guys, so I fished my whole upbringing when I was a child, and then I got into skateboarding, snowboarding, and everything kind of went to the wayside. But after everything with that fell through, long story there. If you guys want to see a video about why I stopped skateboarding, what put me on a different path in life, and maybe I'll make a video about that in the future. Shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I started fishing a lot when I was a kid, used only mono, didn't really know a lot. I was like most fishermen that like to fish but aren't very serious about it. Just a worm and a hook and a bobber or something like that, throw it out there and just kind of wait on the bank and hang out. But I really loved it. And then I started throwing a lot of different stuff when I was a kid growing up on the creek. But I never switched my fishing line. I always used mono. When I started fishing again in my late 20s, about 29 years old, a buddy of mine turned me on to a Ugly Stick Ultralight Pro that was a medium heavy 7-foot 2-piece rod. And then I paired it up with at the time, a Mitchell, about $30, $40 reel. So I had a $75 to $80 setup, and I put Berkley Big Game 10 on it. The Trilene Big Game 10-pound test, and it's monofilament, and that's what I started fishing with. It's what I knew. You go with the evil you know. But as time went on, I noticed I'm missing fish on hook sets due to the stretch in the line. It's not suiting all the needs that I have. I'm setting the hook on big fish. They're wrapping me up in docks and I'm losing them, or I'm setting the hook on big fish and they're diving into big grass beds and I'm losing them. And I'm tired of losing fish, like all of us would be. So I switch to a rod that it was a hand-me-down rod from my roommate who got it from his boss for cleaning his garage. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I ended up... Berkley, get out of here. Damn cat. So long story short, I ended up with a Bass Pro Shop 6.5-foot combo that they had, bait caster combo. This is the reel that came on it. It's the Mega Cast. I don't know who they had make it, but it was a 6-3-1. I now have it spooled with mono, but at the time it came spooled from my roommate. It came spooled with 30-pound braid on it that was at least 5 years old. And because of that old braid, I noticed myself breaking off on fish. I'd snap it, I'd get a bad backlash, and the line would snap, and the thing would just... I'd watch a $9 spinnerbait sail off into the breeze, off into the middle of the dang lake, and just gone for good. That actually happened to me on a first cast, but that's just neither here nor there. That's a little painful. Soon after that, I started experimenting with different rod lengths, different rods, different setups, different applications for different lines. And I wanted to, like the pros, I wanted to kind of hunt down what was the best for me, what worked best for me in all these different situations that I find myself in. Dang cat wants to keep playing fetch right now. Doesn't know I'm trying to film a video. Just chill out, Berkley. See, I like my mono Berkley Big Game so much, naming the dang cat Berkley. And once I started experimenting with different braids, I really started to love it. I switched to a 1-piece bait caster rod setup and 30-pound braid, and the sensitivity was just amazing. I could actually feel what was on the bottom, even really far away on far casts. I could feel my bait vibrating, a crankbait, as soon as it hits the water, not just halfway back to the boat. But braid is only good, in my opinion, for certain applications. I live here in upstate New York. I fish Oneida Lake. I fish the St. Lawrence River. We fish Ontario Lake and all the surrounding creeks and a couple other. This year we'll be fishing a bunch more different lakes, but it's primarily a lot of clear water up here. With that clear water, guys, I'm a firm believer that these fish see the braid. And the one way I can get to a more finessey application and to get in that clear water stuff is to run the Berkley Big Game. 10-pound test, we catch huge fish on it, but I'm using certain rods. All right, guys, so monofilament's awesome, braid is awesome. Now, what are they good for? So braid is so much better than mono in so many ways, but mono is better than braid in so many ways. Now, with mono, when you make a really long cast with a crankbait or something like that, let's say first few cranks of you reel in that bait, you get hit. You got nothing but mono on your line, and it's a really hard and long hook set, because of so much stretch in that mono. A lot of times you lose fish. And because of that, I like to run braid in one of those applications. But if you need to be more finessey, you can move to a mono leader for something like that. And sun damage, guys. Braid doesn't get sun damaged like monofilament does. Monofilament will actually lose its strength in too much sun exposure, where braid will just lose its color and it'll start to fade and look old. And guys, monofilament is fragile. It rubs up against all that growth on docks, and then if it rubs up against like we have a lot of zebra mussels in our lake, and that'll cut your line real bad. You could rub up against just basic rocks, and it puts abrasions in your line, and you lose fish. The line will snap really easy with any imperfections in it. Whereas braid will snap with any imperfections in it, but it's a lot harder to get those imperfections. Now, I did watch a video Scott Martin was talking about, who talked about braided line, and he was talking about the benefits of it. But when you're fishing it around structure and you're fishing it around docks and rocks, some of these like the braided line that I use specifically, it's not super smooth, and it's got a little bit of a coarseness to it, and it's that braid is exposed, and the fish can feel that vibration of it going across the rock, just making that vibration, making noise. The fish can feel it and they can hear it. And then mono, obviously, guys, is mono is, we all know what the infamous line twist. Monofilament has memory, and because of that, it will stay somewhat to the shape of the spool that it's on, especially over time. But it's cheap, so you can unload and respool your line as many times as you need. This whole 1,500 yard spool was about $9, $8-9 at the most. I can't remember. I bought a few other things with it, but nonetheless, it's really cheap compared to 125 yards of braid for same price. But with that said, when you have a whole spool full of braid, you've only used the top portion of your spool. You haven't used all that deeper stuff in the spool, all that deeper line. So what you do is you actually put this on, you tie up to another spool, open your bail, spool all this line onto another one. And then you'll have all that line that was deeper on your spool will actually be on the top of your new spool. It's like getting 2 uses out of 1 spool of line. And you can't do that with your mono. Now, being that braid is so expensive, you don't want to fill your whole spool and tie directly to your arbor with braid. So you fill about a 30-year spool like this with monofilament, and then you tie a backing knot to your braid and then reel the rest of your braid onto your reel. And you got to try to eye it out. It may take a couple tries, but you'll learn how to do it over time and doing it a few times. But you got to do your math on that and eye it out pretty good, because you got 125 yards of braid, and you don't want to spool up your braid and end up with 20, 30, 40 yards of braid left over on your spool that you're not going to end up using for anything else. The biggest complaint I've seen about braid is that people get wind knots when casting into the wind, and the only thing that I personally have found that helps me avoid that is using heavier weighted baits when you're casting into the wind. And that can't always be helped. But the second thing I hear most about braid being, the second most con I hear about braid is from the purist crowd, right? These are these guys that tell you it's cheating or it's not fishing if you're using too heavy of a line. And these guys want you to be out there with nothing but 4 to 10 pound test and fighting the fish with open faced reels and super limber rods, and these are the purists. But that's not for everybody, guy. So to each their own, and understand this video is a matter of opinion. So let me say this, guys. Braid is situational, just like any fishing line. I don't throw braid in all the finesse applications where I don't need to. I don't throw braid when I'm fishing gin clear water unless I'm using a leader. But I also don't throw monofilament in heavy, thick grass mats. And I don't throw monofilament when I'm in pitching and flipping into bushes with my Texas rigs. And if you watch my earlier videos, guys, the only reason I'm using braid is due to that hand-me-down rod. And I was even using a swivel on that braid, and that was bad. And I commented in the end of that particular video about how bad that was. But I still had a good day and caught a bunch of fish. I guess in short, this whole ranty, rambling video is I'm trying to get the point across that braid is very circumstantial, it's situational, and it's personal choice. You don't always need it, but you're not going to pull a 5-pound fish out of 20 pounds of grass with 8-pound test. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is where I'm going to end the video, and if you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe and see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. And guys, leave a comment if you agree with any of the stuff in here or disagree. I'm open to conversation, and I hope to hear from you guys. But this is always, fishing line, fishing baits, it's like trying to say one bait is better than the other. I mean, everything is very circumstantial. It's saying monofilament is better than braid, just generally saying something like that is like saying that a jerk bait's better than a crankbait. there's way more to it than just that very general statement. So I hope I could clear some things up for people, and I hope I mean, you guys talk it over in the comments section. Just write what you like to use braid for. Write down what you like to use monofilament for. I hope I hear from you guys down in the comment section. And again, this is where I'm going to end the video, guys. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button. And if you want to subscribe and see more videos like this, smash that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time, guys.